Hello and welcome to Ignite Your Soul Purpose Retreat. I am Liorah, your host for the event, and today I have a pleasure to welcome Michael Stone as our speaker. Hello, Michael.
Hello, and thank you for having me on the program.
Well, thank you for participating in the event and sharing your wisdom with us. So, Michael Stone participated in his first breathwork session back in 2005 and was blown away by the power of breath and the life changing experiences that he had. Although he comes from a science background with a training in chemical engineering and neuroscience, he decided at that point to focus his life around breathwork to enhance the quality of his life, but also bring benefits of breathwork to others. He has now been facilitating breathwork workshops for over a decade. So, Michael, could you tell the audience a little bit about your journey into stepping into your soul purpose?
Oh, yes, I'd be glad to. So when I was growing up, I really didn't think in terms of soul purpose. It was like I was more science oriented, and I grew up in just kind of a normal middle class family, and I'd already kind of decided unconsciously that I wanted my lives to be just like my parents, just like my father's. I saw that they were happy. I saw that they were so like I kind of said, oh yeah, I want my life to be just like that. It looks awesome, looking at them from the outside. So I kind of made a decision. I wanted to be married. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to follow my father's path of going into engineering and working for a big company, which is what he did. He kind of worked his way up. So he had job security and income security. But all of that was unconscious. And so as I started growing up, that's exactly what I did. I went into engineering, got a degree in that, also got a business degree, also like he did, and started to work for a big company, and worked myself up to, first I started in LA, then went to corporate headquarters in Connecticut, and then it got transferred to France. And from the outside, I would say it looked like I had a perfect life.
Mhm.
It was like I had job security for life. I was living in Paris. I had a contract for 5 years. And on a certain level, I was very happy. Like I was, because, I was kind of following this pathway that I had designed for myself.
Mhm.
But then when I was in Paris, there was like, I started to really feel that there was something that was off. And I really had no idea what it was at that point. And so, and I said, oh, this is just a feeling, whatever, but it stayed. It stayed for months. I'm going, okay, I have to check into this and see what the heck is going on. So I started to look more deeply and started to really see that this pathway that I'd been on wasn't my pathway. It was a pathway that I'd basically um, taken from the outside world, from my father in this case, and I'd never really done any work to see what my pathway was. So I started to see that clearly, since there's something not right internally, this is not my pathway, or else I wouldn't be feeling like this. And that's when I started to be thinking more along the lines of what is really my purpose in life? What is my soul purpose? What was I brought here to do? What are my unique gifts and talents? And I started to really see that life from more of a perspective of everybody has their own unique gift to bring to the world. And it's like it was my job to really look deeply into myself and see what that gift was. And so ultimately I saw for the first thing is that I didn't like working for a big company. And I wanted to be able to be more expressing of my creativity. I wanted to be able to have more responsibility, where everything wasn't done in groups and I could just make my decisions. And if they failed, okay, I'll take the consequences. But if they went well, I wanted to really get the benefits too. So my first step was I quit my job, which was a really difficult step at the time. It was like I had this amazing life and I'm stepping out into the unknown here. But ultimately I was okay with it because I saw that I wasn't really fully satisfied, in that situation I was in. And I came to back to the United States and started my own business. In this case, the first one was with my mother, and it turned out to be very successful. We sold it, did another business, sold that, and I was much happier at that point. But even then, I still felt that there was something missing. So um, that was kind of the first part of my soul journey of really finding out what my purpose was in life. So it was kind of like a step-by-step process, but that was really like the first big step in seeing what was really right for me.
Also, definitely taking that big leap of faith and following the calling from your heart, really. And because it's not always easy, right? We all get that calling at some stage, and do I keep my job? Do I don't not? Have some bills to pay, but do I still feel that pull? And just taking that leap of faith and knowing that your soul is taking you the right path as well.
Yeah, and really one of the things that I had to work through was dealing with fear.
Mm-hmm.
All this fear came up for me about what do I do if it's unsuccessful? I can't go backwards. I can't go back to the company and beg for my job back. So it was like I had to start to look at fear through a different lens.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like before, I'd seen, okay, if there's fear, okay, it means I shouldn't go there. Let's go in a different direction. And I was able to shift that into, yes, if there's fear, that's the direction I need to go into for my personal growth, basically. It was more like a green light than a red light.
Yes, and usually this is where you feel the resistance, that this is where your growth is, right? And really
Yes,
getting
exactly.
past that
Yeah.
resistance.
Because our brain is designed for survival, through
Mhm.
evolution. It wants us to get old enough to have kids, basically. That's its full job, so the
Conditioning
human race survives. It really doesn't care about our personal growth or if we're happy or whatever, as long as we survive and have kids. So, when fear is kind of like this evolutionary thing to try to stop you from taking risks, because if you take risks, you could die, something bad could happen, you could get eaten by a dinosaur in the old days, and your conditioning doesn't want you to do that. So, and so I started to see that. I'm going, okay, I don't want to be in a survival life. I want to be in a personal growth mode where I'm really expressing myself into the universe.
Exactly. So then how did you stumble upon that breath work and then decided that this was basically your path?
Well, as I said, I still knew that there was something off. I wasn't
Mhm.
sure what. And at a certain point, I ended up going to South America just to go into the rainforest and kind of hang out. And while I was there, there was a shaman that went out there with us.
Mhm.
And in the first evening, um, he kind of asked everybody, would you guys be interested in doing this religious um, uh, ceremony that we do down here?
Mhm.
Most of the people just said, yeah, let's do it. But for me, I'm going, I'm science mind, chemical engineering. I have to know what I'm getting into. So I never just say yes to those things. So I said, what's involved?
Mhm.
And so he said, oh, it's very simple. I go out into the rainforest. I get these vines and these leaves, a very specific kind. I put them all together, boil them all up, and you drink this stuff. And then you have an experience. So like my first thought is there is no way I'm doing this. I'm from chemical engineering background, right? You mix 0.52 grams of this and 0.6 grams of this. You don't drink a witch's brew in the middle of the rainforest.
Exactly.
And especially since like these guys didn't even speak English. So it was through a translator and stuff. So I figure if I'm going to get into trouble, how can I get help? And we're a canoe ride from 4 hours away from any civilization. And so my initial inclination was, there's no way I'm doing this.
Mhm.
But then I saw everybody else was doing it. So I'm going, oh, I don't want to look like a wimp. It's like, oh. So ultimately, and this was a big breakthrough for me because this was kind of like a spontaneous thing that I ultimately just jumped into. I said, okay, I'm in the rainforest. It's beautiful down here. I've had a pretty amazing life. If I die, I die, whatever. So let's just go for it. And it turned out it was ayahuasca, which I'd never heard of before. I didn't even know what it was. But it was really the first time that I had an experience of feeling safe in the world. And I didn't even realize that before that, it had been this experience where I always felt like somehow life was unsafe on a very deep level.
Mhm.
And so I had this amazing feeling of being part of everything. And so after I had that experience and I got back to the United States, I'm going, okay, if I can have that kind of experience with a substance, the
Mhm.
receptors have to be there in my brain. So there must be other ways to kind of access those same types of experiences. So I started on a journey, and that's what ultimately brought me to breathwork. And breath work, it's, just, I know, some of our viewers may not even know what it is.
Mhm.
It's not this like, new thing that's been developed in the last 50 years or something like that. Breath work has been used for millennia to allow people to access, deeper states of consciousness, for self-realization, for healing practice. In the old yoga practices, they were using pranayama.
Mhm.
In Buddhism, you watch the breath. So breath has really been part of all healing practices for thousands of years. And when we talk about breath work, it's really just about conscious use of the breath to create these types of experiences. So again, it's not just this kind of brand new thing, new agey thing that's been developed. This has been a tried and true modality for thousands of years. And that's part of what really excited me about it, because it wasn't just this kind of new thing that wasn't tested and wasn't already kind of proven to work, so to speak. So I ultimately then found a type of breath work that was out there already that I really resonated with. It was called holotropic. It was developed scientifically through Dr. Stan Groff, who did it through his work with LSD psychotherapy. And then after that was banned, he kind of worked to see how we could allow people to have these same types of non-ordinary state of consciousness healing experiences without LSD. And he ultimately developed holotropic breathwork. So, many of the other breathworks, when I kind of like dove into them, I'd always see, all right, the creator, how did he create this?
Mhm.
And it was usually like, oh, I downloaded this from the universe.
Yeah.
To me, that's like so there has to be some science
The
behind it for me,
scientific
or
part behind it.
so I dove into holotropic breathwork and started to have these same types of experiences.
Mhm.
And I was saying, okay, this is for me. So I went to actually through a 3-year training program to become a certified holotropic breathwork facilitator at that point.
Okay, beautiful. And so, like you mentioned earlier, some of the viewers may not be so acquainted with breath work. So how does it work in terms of, it's not just regular breathing. How does it work? But also, what are the benefits of it, and how does it work, basically?
Yeah. So basically, what you're doing is that you're consciously working with the breath. So you're not going to breathe like in everyday life. In everyday life, we never think about the breath, and we're very rarely even conscious of what's happening with our breathing. Even though, like, really, our breath is our connection to our inner world. In essence, it's the only thing we can really control. Like, we have very little control over, how our kidneys or our liver. Like, your body just does that, but your breath is really the one thing you can totally control. But we normally let it control us. Certain breathing techniques are associated with certain emotional states.
Mhm.
So you can actually change your emotional state by changing your breathing, because your body associates them. But in these breathwork sessions, what you're doing is basically breathing in a very specific way. And different breathwork techniques use different types of breathing. But the one that I created
Mhm.
later, which we'll talk about in a moment, basically what you're doing is you're breathing in and out through the mouth and taking full deep breaths and breathing just a little bit faster than normal, doing like a conscious connected breath, always breathing in or breathing out. And moving that extra air creates certain physiology changes in your body that support the quieting of the kind of chit chat mind.
Mhm.
So it allows you to connect these deeper parts of your psyche that you normally have very, very little connection with. And I call it our inner guiding intelligence. Some people call it connection to source or to your higher self or
Mhm.
intuitive self. And ultimately, in terms of soul purpose, that's really the part of yourself, the part of your psyche that you really have to connect to in order to get some insight into that, in my opinion. Because I really was really stumbling around before that in terms of, is this something, when I got interested in something, is this something I've been conditioned to like, or is this really me? It's
Mhm.
always very difficult to tell because we're so conditioned by our culture. And, it's even interesting that, in our culture, we're not conditioned to be self-empowered. We're conditioned to basically believe that what we need to make us happy, we have to go into the outside world to get it, that
Mhm.
we can't find it internally, which is really completely false. But it's a belief system that's so ingrained, it's kind of like, it's like a fish being in water. For most people, you don't even see any other way to live.
Mhm.
Because if people didn't believe that, our whole economy would collapse. People wouldn't care about buying a bigger house or getting a bigger car because they know that they don't need that to be happy.
Right.
They can create it all inside of themselves. And so marketing wouldn't work. Where you're not happy now, but if you buy this car, oh my God, you're going to be so happy and everybody will love you and this and that. So that wouldn't work at all.
Yeah,
So no one would buy stuff.
pretty much.
So our culture isn't really invested in making us feel self-empowered. So, and that's one of the really benefits of breath work you're talking about is like you really do start to see that you have the answers inside that you need, and you don't need to give your power away to the outside world to be happy, to find your pathway in life, to find your soul purpose. It's all there already. And it's really just a question of quieting the mind and getting better access to it. And that's one of the biggest benefits of breath work. So by doing this deeper, faster breathing, it quiets the ego mind, and you start to connect to this inner resource. And as a result, people get downloads into problems they've had with their life. They get insights into who they really are. And many people describe the experience and each experience is different. So it's kind of like your inner guidance will bring you the experience that you need and that you're ready to have in that moment. So you want to go in without any expectations, without any guidance. And that's one of the differences that, in my breath work that I developed. We don't do any guidance even during, other than telling people what to expect, even during the breathing sessions, to really allow people to find their own inner voice. And so, like, you're connecting to your inner voice, and the benefits are amazing. That's all I can say. Things that I got that I could never get any other way before I was doing breath work in my life. And sometimes people get visuals, like in psychedelic sessions. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they release sound and get this amazing tension release out of their body. Sometimes they move around a lot. Sometimes they actually re-experience part of their birth process, which is a very traumatic experience when you're fighting for life. Sometimes they feel dissolved into the universe and connecting to the stars and to everything that is. Sometimes it's just a very gentle journey. So it's this incredible wide range of experiences. And that's what makes it so fun. Every experience is different, so you never know what's coming. It's kind of like going to Disneyland, but each time you go, all the rides have changed, and you have no idea what's coming up. So
Is one of the reason why you would like, it's not just something you do one time, it's something you do over and over and over again, because you just get so many different experiences, right?
yeah, and one experience can be life-changing for people when they just kind of get this insight into this is what I want to do with my life or whatever. But to really take it to the next level and take it to the deepest level, it's better to kind of create a practice of it, just like in yoga or anything else that you do. If you do one session, you'll get some benefit, but if you create a practice, it takes it to a whole new level. And the types of benefits that people actually report that they get by doing at least the kind of breath work that I've developed in neurodynamic breath work, which again we'll talk about in a second. Um, and it's really quite amazing because the numbers are so high. And this is all by doing surveys. It isn't just theory or anecdotes. It's where people really say they get. And 89% who have issues with anxiety get relief from that. 84% who have trauma issues get some or major relief from that. 75% feel like they get better access to their own inner guidance in their everyday life, not just in the breath work, but in their everyday life, so they can really, make decisions from their heart, from their inner self, from their, rather than trying to figure it out with their ego mind. Most people get some or major relief from depression if there's an issue with that, or connection to intuition and creativity, better relationships, and the list goes on. It's just quite incredible, just from accessing the answers that you already have within, rather than trying to figure it out with your ego mind or giving your power away to the outside world.
Exactly. And I love also that it gives, so much clarity. So for example, I do also do corporate events. And at times you just never know what can pop up. And sometimes we have some emergencies. And I've, I've noticed that, right away I get back into that state of, okay, get back connected to my breath. What should I do? And right away I just know what to do. Yeah. And it's not it's just annoying. But again, it's just that practice, that muscle that you build over time of doing the breath work as well. And to backtrack a little bit, you mentioned yoga. So I know, for example, for yoga, you have different types of yoga, but you also have different type of breath work, right? So there's some breath work to lose weight. There's some breath work to for different type of helmets. But also, I know that you, like you mentioned, you created your own type of breath work. So if you can go a little bit into it, and how did you come about to create your own methodology and what it entails?
Sure. So I started with holotropic breathwork, which is an in-person breathwork modality. So it's always done in person, like you go to a venue where everybody lays down and breathes and there's facilitators present.
Okay.
And what I saw was that ultimately I started to see these amazing experiences that people had where they were starting to get more in touch with their soul purpose. They were having these physical releases, psychological releases, getting in touch with answers to the issues in their life. But I really wanted to do something or create something where mass or large numbers of people could have these experiences. And I saw that with in person, where you could only work with 30 or 40 or 50 people at a time, it just couldn't be done. So, once I started to do this more, I started to really get in touch with that part of my own soul purpose was to bring breath work to the world and to bring it in a way where it would be inexpensive and very convenient so that anybody that wanted to could could get the benefits, without having to fly somewhere, without having to, so that they could just do it from the comfort of their own home, so to speak. And so that's why I ultimately said, okay, I need to develop a modality where that can work, where it can be done in a reasonable amount of time, so people can just take a couple hours out of their day and do it. They can do it from their home. They can do it inexpensively if they resonate with it and if they're called to do it. And what I saw was that as people started to do breath work, it changed their relationship to the world and it changed their relationship to life. In that their consciousness was changing, they felt more connection to the planet. They felt more connection to other people. And so, like, what they were seeing as normal was they stopped seeing it that way. It's kind of like in life right now, we consider war as normal. It happens all the time. And the reality is, if you take a step back, it's not normal to kill other people. Even if you say it's okay, it's for land or for this or for that. So people start to see things from a different perspective of everybody's connected on a very deep level. There's no way I'm going to go out and do anything where I'm going to harm someone else or I'm going to harm the planet. So they really start to shift. And I believe that, if enough people can change their level of consciousness, it can make an important change in the world, which we so desperately need right now. And I believe that, as Einstein said, like you can't fix a problem from the same level of consciousness that you created it from, basically. I mean, that's a paraphrase. So I saw that really was my life purpose, to bring breathwork to enough people to create a change of consciousness in the world that could really make a difference in how people were and how people interacted with each other on the planet.
Beautiful. And you're a pioneer. I think you had a crystal ball knowing that we will have something coming up. I won't say the word, that will force us to be at home and find other modalities and be online.
Yes.
So
yeah. Yeah. So the timing was perfect. So I created, after practicing for 6 months with people to see what would work, what wouldn't work online, because it wasn't really, back 5-6 years ago, there wasn't a lot of online breathwork. So I really needed to experiment for myself and see, would it work, what would work, what types of experiences would people have. So I experimented for 6 months with hundreds of people, and finally came up with this modality where there's a 1-hour breathing session, and there's like about a 30-minute introductory talk where I could give people enough information so that they would feel safe, comfortable, and confident with going into these kind of non-ordinary state experiences. And then afterwards, there'd be a sharing circle where people could share their experiences, so I could give them some guidance if they had questions, so they could feel complete and also feel really heard and seen in the breathwork session. And it's the share circle is just this amazing space. We have people from 120 different countries, and usually there's 20 or countries or so, like represented in each of these breathwork sessions. And people really do feel the sense of unity with other people, and that we really are all one, and we all want the same thing ultimately. We all just want to have joy in our life, to expand and to grow and to be just be happy and joyful and to allow other people and support other people in doing the same.
You just reminded me actually of, Lynn McTaggart and The Power of Eight, and, people healing each other as a group of eight. But I was just thinking as well, having a community of people, you know, breathing together. And I don't know if you have done it where maybe it's focused on a specific topic. I know
Hmm.
you mentioned that usually you let people have their own experience, but I could also see that as being also definitely healing. Just if we were to all say, okay, we want to heal this part of us or whatever, and all be focused on the same outcome, how it could be also beneficial. And I don't know if this is something you have no experience before as well. That makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. And one thing that's really interesting, many people share after breathwork sessions,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not after the first or whatever, after a series, that they feel it's like coming home. And it's like, where they felt like on some level that, and coming home, not to their physical home, obviously to their
Mm-hmm.
house, but coming home to their inner being, where they really can get in touch with who they really are, get underneath all these layers of conditioning that we have, and
Mm-hmm.
seeing who they truly are and getting in touch, as we've talked about, with their life purpose and what they uniquely can bring to the world based on their own life path, their own struggles that they've gone through, and how they can really bring their light to the world. So it's very beautiful you can just, as a facilitator, watch
Mm-hmm.
people taking steps along this path to find out who they truly are.
Exactly. And I was just thinking, for someone who's starting, they might be thinking, oh, an hour, it's a lot of commitment. But usually, like, how many times do you recommend for people to do it? Is it something to do daily, maybe once a week? When do you usually start seeing some benefits?
So you'll see benefits after the first session, but it's really just like the depth and the level that you go to.
Mm-hmm.
We have people that breathe once a month. We have people that breathe 3 times a week. And it's really about, after a breathing session, there's a certain amount of time that's needed to integrate the experience, to really embody it. And we also talk to people about integration practices they can use. And then when they're ready, they can just go into the next one. And so it could be one day. Some people breathe several days in a row. Some people breathe once and then come back a week later.
Mm-hmm.
And we have I've set up a whole structure where we have almost a live facilitated breathing session almost every day, 5 or 6 every week.
Wow.
So whenever people want to participate in it, within a day, there'll be a chance for them to do so.
Amazing.
So,
Fantastic.
and yeah.
So I know you will be taking the audience through an experience as well. So very excited about that. And before we do so, is there anything else you would like to add for the audience? Any last word of wisdom before we get into the journey?
Yes. I guess just in summary, um, many people feel that they can change their lives by kind of changing the pieces around in the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're in a relationship you're not happy with, okay, get a new girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. I'm not happy in this city, I'll move to another city and I'll be happier. And it never works like that, because your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. If your inner world is chaotic, your outer world will be chaotic, whether you're in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, or wherever you are. And so ultimately, the only way to really make profound shifts in your life is to do inner work. Breathwork is a very powerful methodology to do that. It's not the only one. Some people like for instance, doing meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Other ones, I have a difficult time with meditation because I just have a hard time quieting my mind. but some people, they resonate with that. There's others modalities, but for me, breathwork has been the most powerful.
And I love that you mentioned that, because yes, for people, I've had many clients who tell me as well, oh, I cannot meditate. My mind gets too busy. And I think this is where breathwork is great to start with, because it is really hard to have a busy mind and breathe at the same time, especially when you're in a community, and it's pretty, it can get quite intense sometimes. So the mind usually kind of fades away on its own. So this is a great way to start, actually. If
Yeah,
maybe,
because you're using your physiology to support the quieting of the ego mind. So it's not just trying to with your using the ego mind to quiet the ego mind, so to speak. So for me, it works very well, just because of my busy mind.
I think we all have busy minds, some less than others, but I think at some stage we always do. So it's nice to, throughout the event we talk about different modalities, but it's great to also just combine them, and
Yes.
see what works for each one of
And
us.
that's the other thing. Yeah, that's the other thing with breath work. I don't say, drop everything you're doing, do breath work. It's the answer. It's a great adjunct to whatever you're else that you're already doing. Keep doing what works.
Yeah.
And just, as with anything else, with something that's experiential like this, just give it a try and see if you resonate with it. And you'll know after you do a couple sessions if this is something that resonates with you, that you get benefit from or not. So,
And I think what it does actually is also enhance other practices that you may be doing. So whether it's
yes.
just yoga, it really just enhances it as well. So
Yeah. And, breath work is even used, for instance, for people who work with psychedelics, like psychedelic assisted therapy. It's used as integration for psychedelics. It's used for people who might be interested in doing that, but don't really feel comfortable with it. So breathwork is a more gentle way to get into these expanded states where you have total control over. In breathwork, we always encourage people to go through and release whatever wants to be released, but you slow down the breath, you drop out of the process. So ultimately, if you choose to, exercise the control, it's always there. So it's very safe in that way.
fantastic. Well, thank you. And so I think we are ready for the experience. Very excited. So
Okay, awesome. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is, as I said, the normal breathing sessions are about an hour. And so I'm just going to give everybody just a little taster session. It's just going to be like 7 minutes. And the music that we use in the hour sessions is much more evocative, I would say. It's stronger music. And the music, again, is also scientifically designed to support people in doing a deep dive into kind of their unconscious mind and to have deep experiences. This is going to be lighter music where we're not trying to create that today for listeners when they might have to just jump up and go back into their life right afterwards. So it's going to be gentle music and it's going to just be like 7 minutes long. So really today, it's really just about looking at just with breathing for a few minutes in a way that's a little bit normal, different than you normally do. Just looking at, does it shift anything? How do you feel in your body before and afterwards? And just seeing that even just breathing consciously for 7 minutes, it can create some shift. It doesn't take much. So it's really just kind of a taster session. So first, I'll talk about the breathing. And so what you're going to do is basically uh, close your eyes, not now, but during the session. And so this is an eyes closed experience. And you're going to want to breathe fully and deeply. So, and to start with, at least through the mouth. And you can just breathe at normal pace. You don't breathe faster. You can be either slower than normal or normal. So you don't want to have it be stressful in any way. You just want to have it to be an enjoyable breath, but just taking full deep breaths at just a normal pace or a little slower than normal. And no tension in your body, so your shoulders don't stiffen up or move. So full, deep, but normal, and just kind of ultimately find a rhythm that just feels comfortable and good. And you're going to want to stay with that breathing technique. And after the first few minutes, after the first 4 or 5 minutes, if your breath wants to slow down a little bit more, it's totally fine. You can kind of let it shift after a bit. But for the first few minutes, just you want to breathe fully and deeply, a little like either normal or a little slower than normal and connected. So you're always breathing in or breathing out. And then after the music gets very soft and ends at the end, you just want to go back to normal breathing and just give yourself a minute or two just to gently come back and before you open your eyes. And then just kind of just notice in your body, how does it, so you might want to even notice, how does your body feel right now? Does it feel tense? Does it feel completely relaxed? And then kind of do another inventory at the end. So basically during the session, just allow whatever wants to happen to happen. If your body wants to move a little bit, let that happen. Sometimes people like making a little sound on the out breath. That's totally fine too. You may get an emotion that comes up. If it does, just let it come, let it express. Or it could be just a super gentle ride. So whatever it is, just allow it to happen. So there's nothing to do, but just breathe. It's very beautiful in that way. Like your mind doesn't have to figure anything out. Okay, so let me share the screen here. Okay. All right, so at this point, you're going to want to close your eyes, or if you have an eye mask handy, you can wear that too, but just closing your eyes is fine. And you can just sit in your chair, or if you prefer to lay down, you can do that also. And also, if you have a headset, you might want to use that just to get good sound quality. And also to make sure you get the best sound quality, you might want to also shut down all of your other connections to the internet, like Firefox and Chrome and that kind of thing. And if you do need to get a headset or something, you can just stop the recording for a second here and then start it again. But now closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, letting it out, and just bringing your attention into your body. And just doing a quick body scan to notice, is there any tension you're holding right now? So starting with the feet, just relaxing them, maybe wiggling your toes around a little bit. And then going through each body part and just visualizing any tension that there is, release into the universe. Until your body feels as relaxed as you can make it in this moment. Now making sure your eyes are closed again and deepening the breath. Starting to take full deep breaths in and out of your mouth, just at a normal pace, normal rhythm, breathing fully and deeply, deeply and fully, fully and deeply. And now breathing in a way where there are no gaps, where you're always breathing in or breathing out, just creating a wonderful circle of breath. In and out through the mouth, fully and deeply, normal rhythm or a little slower than normal. So breathing fully and deeply, deeply and fully, finding a rhythm that feels comfortable. And now just letting go, surrendering to the process, letting whatever wants to happen. Some people like to make a little sound on the out breath. You can just see if that feels right to you. It's optional. Breathing fully and deeply, feeling your belly expand on each in breath, letting it get back to normal on the out breath. And now just letting go. And in a moment, the music will begin, and have a wonderful journey. And now, if you haven't done so already, slowing down the breath to a normal rhythm, breathing gently now, just taking a minute to be in a place of stillness, softness, being with yourself in a very gentle way. And then maybe taking one last little moment to take a moment and just send yourself love and compassion. Some people like to put their hands in their heart when they do this. We're always very hard on ourselves. We have this strong inner critic. So in this moment of stillness, just send yourself love, send yourself compassion, and just allow yourself to feel it permeating every cell of your body. Thanking yourself for all the difficulties you've gone through in your life to get to be the amazing person that you are today. The strengths you've developed, the joy you've brought to other people. When you're ready, just gently open your eyes and just come back into your everyday world, but just bring this place of stillness and gentleness with you. Very soft gaze, staying connected to your body. Right, so we are complete with our little demo.
That was more than a demo. Oh my God, it was absolutely, it was very profound in such a short time, especially with the first song that you had. So many layers to it. Really brought the power within me, really felt it strongly. And, I travel a lot. So for me, the sound was at one point I was in Ireland, at one back in Ireland, at one point I was back in Oman. I was in Oman no long ago hearing the sound. And then I was back in Bali. So it was just traveling through all these places I've been to and reconnecting with really the heart of those places. And then the second one was this deep sense of calm, but also freedom. I felt like I was literally floating, and lots of freedom that came out of it. So, yes.
And that was just 7 minutes.
I'm landing back right now. Like,
Yeah,
yes, in an hour, because I've done session with you before, in an hour, it's really powerful. So I definitely encourage everyone. And I love the music that you choose because it's a big part of the experience as well. So, and it changes every time, right? For each.
yes, yeah.
Set.
And I mean, there's a whole science behind the music. Like we don't use English words. We don't use anything that can pull your ego mind back.
Yeah,
So we really want to just allow people to drop into their inner world as deeply as possible and connect to that deepest part of their being, which does have all the answers. Yes.
exactly. Thank you so much. Feeling very expanded right now in a beautiful. And so for the people in the audience that would like to go further and get to know more about your work and get started on their journey, which I encourage everyone because you just experienced in 7 minutes, just a little tiny bit of this beautiful practice. So where can we connect with you? And also you'll have a beautiful gift for the audience as well. So thank you so much for that.
Yes. So the our website is just breathworkonline.com. Very simple. And we're offering people a free session. We have like 5 or 6 live facilitated sessions every week. So you can just find one that works for you and sign up. If you just go to the website, breathworkonline.com, right at the top, or towards the top, there's a button that says try a free breathwork session. It'll take you through a process to sign up for the one you want and just to show up on time, and it'll be amazing. And again, like the structure is, it's like 2 hours. You'll get a 35-minute introductory talk to make sure you're really fully prepared and you can participate safely and feel confident and really diving in. 1 hour breathing session, and then this amazing share group at the end.
Beautiful. And also they can find you, and I'll put the links on your different socials as well and follow you and see what else is coming up. So thank you so much, Michael.
Well, yeah, thank you again for having me on your summit.
Thank you.